that can cause a zombie apocalypse. That makes you think, because I've thought about that before, with these apocalypse things and zombie-like things. Parasites can, if they get in you, certain parasites, I bet there's parasites out there we don't even know about yet. Look at the one parasite that takes over snails. Was it a wasp? Some kind of wasp thing's it, and a parasite gets in it, and it turns into a total zombie.
Interesting. Hey, you might try turning your mic gain down, a notch, because you're you're kind of distorting a little bit.
How am I sounding now? A little better?
Yeah, you're not distorting now.
Yeah, I think I might accidentally bumped it when I mounted that on there. Sorry about that.
Hey, whatever.
Whatever, dang it.
What do you want me to say? Oh, I'm sorry. No, really. So,
no, I'm sorry about that.
So people are seeing UFO. It hasn't died down. Every day I'm getting dozens of reports of people seeing UFOs yet or claiming other stuff. And normally it would be hardly any sightings this time of year. It's really gotten crazy.
It has, and that was kind of the point I was kind of leading up to, is what you just touched on. They haven't died down at all. If anything, they've actually kind of increased. Because usually toward this time of year they die down. Maybe it's just because there's not as many people outside because of the weather. But it doesn't seem to coincide with it this year. I mean, I'm getting reports. You're getting reports all the time.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Well, what else? What else do you got? Because you got about another 10 minutes.
Well, there's a new secret electronic weapons and phantom ships that they say may explain some of these UFO sightings that people are seeing. And I kind of think that too. I mean, I've said for a while on here, and I've thought about this for years previous, that a lot of those things that we're seeing that people see out there, I think they're ours. I just do. I think, especially the Black Triangle one, I don't know, my opinion, I think it might be ours. But I think there's a lot of stuff out there that, especially the drone technology. I think some of the drone technology, if we really knew what they had, we'd be like in shock and awe, because I just think some of that, if you haven't seen it or acclimated yourself with that kind of technology and you just happen to go outside and see one of them, I think you very easily could be mistaken for a UFO of a alien type. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I could be wrong.
It could be. I mean, but there's a lot of them lately. It's just so many. I mean, have you noticed what state is, or is it kind of spread out all over the country, or what?
It's actually spread out over. Now, most of it, I'll be honest with you, I think comes from the Southwest, and that kind of makes sense. The Nevada, Arizona, Utah area. But it's not isolated to just that area. I mean, Illinois, Indiana, there's been sightings. Pennsylvania, all here in the Midwest where I'm at, there's been sightings. Not as much as the Southwest, but there's still sightings, and they're describing pretty much the same type craft. And even some right down to the light sometimes. So it makes me kind of wonder, is it a secret drone thing, or is it something that's got technology we don't know yet that they're keeping their hats on, but sometimes they take out for a test run and people see it? I don't know.
I don't know. Any other cool anything you could in the news, in the paranormal news?
Yeah, the Navy, the Navy pilot who chased the Tic Tac UFO, he says there are still missing tapes of that encounter. So, when we're talking about the Tic Tac from 2004 from the Nimitz there.
Right.
And yeah. So obviously what he's saying, there's a lot more to that tape, which is missing. So where did it go? Who took it? Why is it missing? Why can't we see the rest of it? Because just what we saw, if you think about it, it was pretty mind-blowing. I mean, it showed that thing, what the things it was doing, and like Bruce was saying, 55 Gs or 5,500 Gs.
No, 500 and some Gs that it was pulling, and that was Bruce Maccabee, the scientist. Now, you figure 550 Gs would literally, if you were a human, unless it has some type of device that you weren't feeling the Gs or weren't affected by the Gs, you would be nothing more than goo on the walls inside of whatever craft it is.
You absolutely would. And another thing that people don't realize, too, that many Gs, not just people, but mechanical things will break down and shatter and be destroyed also. I mean, seriously. You couldn't take something that you built and put into that many Gs. It would break down and break. The internal parts would just break. They're just not made to withstand that kind of force.
It would disintegrate. It would totally disintegrate. Do you know back in the 50s, for example, when they were testing different jets out, and they would pull 1G, 2Gs, right? On some of the planes, if you go back and research, the wings would just come flying off. And sometimes these, pilots, that were, in those planes died because the planes that literally disintegrated around them, pulling 1, 2, 3 Gs. They just weren't designed adequate enough. Now, going 550 Gs, I don't know anything on this earth would even withstand probably 50 or 60 Gs without disintegrating. Just totally. They would implode. That would be the end of it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't even think it'd get up to that far. I think once you get up as far as not human, but material things, I honestly, you get up to 20 and more Gs, I don't even know if it could even withstand that, like you're saying, much less 5,500. Yeah, that would just shatter, like you're saying. And so these technology of these UFOs, whether it be ours or somebody else's, they obviously have got something in there to counter the G-forces, or otherwise they wouldn't even be functioning, much less have a living being in it at the same time.
And if it was something from our own planet, going through time or going from another dimension or a portal, to a parallel world, the same thing would happen to that. So, whatever technology they have is so far superior than anything we have. I just don't believe that we are capable of creating anything to do that at this point. I just don't.
I don't either, and I don't even think we have the even know-how to even begin to even reverse engineer that kind of stuff. And then even if we could, you still have to build that kind of stuff the way it's built, and you have to have that kind of materials, and some of that stuff has to be broken down and put together with a certain chemical process, and it just can't be done here. So we don't have basically don't have the technology to do it. So yeah, I just don't know where that's going. That's why, like you were saying with that reports from that one guy there, it was talking about reverse engineering there from Area 51. I just don't think we can. And then there's the old adage, we made deals, trading technologies for maybe they can abduct some people. But even that is an illusion because they're not going to give us anything that's going to be a danger back at them and technology-wise. So what are they going to share with us? Equivalent of a cigarette lighter from, somebody from 100 years ago that met the Native Americans at one time? Or they're not going to give us anything that's going to threaten them in technology-wise. So basically, they're not going to give us anything. That's.
Well, we do the same thing when we sell fighter jets to different countries, right? And we let Lockheed do it. They're not, even if it's the same model, it doesn't have the electronics and all the stuff that our military has in it. So they're not as superior or equal to what we have. We do that for a reason. Now, again, if aliens are coming down and giving us technology, you hit the nail right on the head with the hammer. They're not going to give us any technology equal to what they have because they have to have the final card. So let's face it, they might give us technology that would be far superior for our own usage, but I don't think it would do any good if we were being, for example, invaded. We wouldn't be able to, defend ourselves with them, even with the technology they give us, because it's probably obsolete.
Right. Yeah, whatever they give us is going to be dummied down. Perfect example. The F-17s or F-15s that our fighters use, the ones that they use today, the technology and the ones from today compared to 15 years ago from that Tic Tac incident is like mind-blowing night and day. It's so far difference and upgrade just in those 15 years. So could you imagine a technology that is 1,000 years in advance of us. I mean, hello. So, yeah, there's going to be a big difference.
Or 10,000 or 20 or 30,000. Who knows what it is? I still come to conclusion because, we debate this UFO thing and alien thing and abduction thing so much that, it all comes down to you can either believe it or not. Every one of us has our own right to make a decision. But if you believe there's no such thing as UFOs, that's fine. You can believe that. If you want to believe there's no aliens and no abductions, you can believe that too. By the way, I'm going to sell you some property on the backside of the Earth, because the Earth is flat. So I'll cut you a real good deal on that. Of course, there's going to be no water there because it all dropped off.
I'm looking for land on the dark side of the moon. If you come across any of that, just let me know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can't wait to later in the month coming up because we got some really big, heavy hitters coming on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark after we make that change. Whitney?
Yeah, I got his book right behind me on my bookcase. I read it when it come out and been blown away since that day by that book.
What's that book called? Communion. Oh, yeah. And don't forget, him and Art wrote a book, The Superstorm, and all that. And he's just wrote another book. It's going to be released here in about a week. I'm going to have a copy of it next week. Hopefully he signs it. But, he is going to be on our show. I got, Terry Lovelace coming on. I have a bunch of people now booked up that is surprising me that they're wanting to come on.
Yeah, listen, I know some of the stories, and some of them that we don't know all the stories, but what I do know, and from who they're coming from, you do not, and I mean do not want to miss these interviews. They're going to be mind-blowing, bone-chilling, and entertaining, and educational, all wrapped up into one. And you will be at the edge of your seat leaning over into trying to listen a little harder. That's how good they're going to be.
And we have a famous actor. I will say his first name. I'm not going to say his last name yet because I got to wait to his agent. But I already talked to him, and he said he will make it happen in December. We just don't know when. But Sylvester.
Oh, he's on...
I remember Rocky.
Yeah, I seen that when I was a kid, actually. Yep. There's about 6 other ones after it, too.
Rambo.
Oh, yeah, those were good.
Yeah. And Linda Morton will be on our show late December.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And she's going to, listen, there's the one of the forefathers or foremothers, as you want to say, into cattle mutilations. I remember her years and years ago on documentaries about that, cattle mutilations.
Yeah, so we got all these great guests booked up. I mean, we are really rocking. We got a radio station that's going to be picking us up in Bakersfield in December. I'm happy about that. We're working on more radio stations. It's funny. One day I had hardly any listeners back about a little over 2 years ago. I had like 15 people, and I was so excited. Not. But then now, I can't even count on 2 hands how many listeners I have. It is so many.
Yeah, and it keeps growing and growing. I remember, too, I've been here almost, right after the biker part I came in. But, it's grown and grown. It's taken off like some wild weeds in the backyard, man.
Yeah, it's just really, it's now's the point. I made a point, and I vowed this at the start. Every person that emails me, I'm going to respond. If they're going to take the time, tell me a story or ask me questions, I'm going to respond because, I believe, I'm not stuck up, okay? But the problem is now I'm spending the whole night responding because I'm getting literally hundreds of emails a day, asking questions or sending me pictures of Bigfoot or UFOs and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we need to go on break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, so stay tuned to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.